People, what is good? What's good in the hood? We are live. We are live. I just made this. I can't lie to you. There was in my head, I was like, you know what? Might not do this, might just go home. I've been at TalkSport all day. I was covering the Arsenal Tottenham game, or should I say the Tottenham Arsenal game. I finished my show at 6 o'clock, but I was hanging around until 6:30 because we had a few other things to do. And I was like, you know what? I ain't going to make it. I'm tired. I'm hungry. But then I thought, you know what? We're not canceling this one. We're doing these every single Sunday unless I'm out of the country because we need to start to get some consistency going. I do want to talk about so many different things. I want to talk about and get your questions in about Eubank Smith. Obviously, that's this week. I'm going to go up there for the press conference on Thursday, and I think the weigh-ins on Friday. We're doing a live watch-along of that on Saturday. I do want to talk about Yarde Beterbiev, which is the week after. I want to talk about who AJ's fighting. It seems as though people are reporting it's down to 4 opponents. I've seen a few people say Jermaine Franklin, Dempsey McKean, Hergovich, and Otto Volin. I'm guessing we're going to find out who that opponent is in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm desperate to have a conversation about YouTube crossover influencer boxing, because it seems to be pissing a lot of people off, and I don't understand why. I will say this, though. It's easy for me to say that. I work on the event. I get paid. Obviously, I'm going to have a different take to you guys, but I can separate the two. I can separate real boxing to influencer boxing. I feel like some people can't. Some people seem to take it all as one. Well, in my mind, I can separate the two. But some people, and I put it out on Twitter, and some of the responses are interesting. But let's have a conversation about that as well. So they're the main topics. Also, another final topic that I want to talk about: Ryan Garcia versus Tank not being signed. Shout out to Base. Base said last week that he doesn't think it's going to happen. I was like, no, it's going to happen. I'm not sure anymore. I'm now 50-50. Oscar De La Hoya says he's not received the contract, and that if he doesn't receive a contract by Monday, he's walking away. I don't believe that's true. I think he's calling their bluff. But we were told a couple of weeks ago it's done. And now all of a sudden we are waiting for contracts. So look, loads of interesting subjects to get our teeth into. We're going to be on this for about an hour and a half, as we usually do. So get your questions in. I'm going to start right now. Let's do this. Fahazan Riaz says, hi, Ade. In the chat, an hour early, Jesus, to send this non-related boxing chat in. Is it time for Klopp out? And how is Navigator still at your club? No. Klopp in, I think. Navigator should just disappear very, very quickly. Useless. Been at the club 5 years and just has been rubbish. All right, Ben McGrath said, did you see the gloves were off with Smith and Eubank? It was surprisingly good. I'm really looking forward to the fight. I still haven't watched it. I might watch it tonight, depending upon what time this finishes and what time I get home. I might watch it tonight. I've still not watched it. I can almost anticipate that Eubank won that debate, though, because Eubank's very good. And look, I done the gloves are off, or the face off, whatever you want to call it, for Eubank Ben, and I just realized how good he is. Like, you guys saw a 20-minute edited version. The full thing was maybe around 30 minutes, and Eubank was gold. He's very, very good. Just too good a talker. So he's gonna beat a lot of people, isn't he? Bill Murphy says Smith looks like 50 years old and worn out. If the fight goes a distance, Eubank should really reconsider the level he's aiming to fight at. Mate, don't judge a book by its cover. Smith is very, very fit. I remember when Smith fought Anthony Fowler on a Saturday, which was quite a grueling fight until we stopped him. Smith went and played football Sunday after, like the next day, Sunday after. So he's a very, very fit guy. I don't know him personally, so I don't want to make things up and say he lives the life, but he's a fit guy. He's a fit guy. I think we focus too much on how aesthetic someone looks, like the aesthetic. Whereas, look, Tyson Fury looks like he can go 15 rounds in his sleep, and he doesn't have a six-pack, doesn't have muscles. So don't be fooled by someone's look. It's the engine, and I think Smith has got a really good engine. If anything, I think Eubank's engine has shown to be maybe waning a little bit in his last few fights, where he starts really fast, and then he seems to slow down. The gas seems to empty very, very quickly. So if anything, I think Smith's probably the fitter of the two, but we're just going on guesses here. I don't know. Jake Bryce says, hi, Ade. Are you a little bit embarrassed to be associated with events like last night. This is what I love. It was all over the place and a bit of a circus act full of fame-hungry people that just want to get on camera. That's what they do. Again, I can separate the two. I remember when I did my first one and I was very surprised, like 20,000 filled out the O2 arena. And look, there are parts of it that I'm like, oh, this is a bit cringe. But again, I separate the two. I'm lucky that I can cover real boxing events, if you like, the Canelos, AJs, whatever, Lara Wood in a couple of weeks or a month's time. And then I cover this stuff. But what I will say before people dig these guys out, they're getting in the ring and having a fight. Like, there's no difference between this and white collar boxing. I guess the only difference is that these guys are a lot more famous than white collar boxing, thus make more money or make money for it. That's it. I don't understand why it pisses people off so much. It baffles me. Like, you should be pissed off. If you're a boxing fan, be pissed off with AJ Fury not happening. If you're a boxing fan, be pissed off with Crawford Spence not happening. Ryan Garcia versus Tank not happening. Devon versus Shakur Stevenson not happening. Like, be upset about these things. All the PD users in boxing, 1,000 different broadcasters, pay-per-view. Be upset about all that, but yet people are upset about YouTubers. Find it It baffles me. It really does. I don't know. So a quick super chat has come in. Let's quickly read that out and then we'll get back to it. JD_05. Does KSI's performance against Temper give you more confidence in him catching up with Jake Paul's ability? No, not really. I think Jake Paul is above him. I still think it will be a good fight. This is weird. I'm talking influencer boxing on the green chair. This is weird. I still think it will be a good fight, but I think I favor Jake Paul. Jake Paul's a lot bigger, by the way. I've interviewed both. Sitting next to Jake Paul is really thick, like really thick. Whereas KSI is like quite slim. So I'd favor Jake Paul. All right, let's get back to the questions. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. What's this? Elijah Selassie says, Ade, you're doing everything to avoid football talk. I see you. I'm a Liverpool fan. We're not even talking football. But look, there's probably going to be a time when I talk football in this channel, but for now, we'll still stick to boxing. It's my first love when it delivers. Right now, it's not delivering, so football talk could come very, very soon. Who knows? Maestro, the main man in the States, says, salute to Ade and the whole chat. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much. Shin Davis says, Ade, you fit well with the Misfits thing. You know, that's the Misfits boxing. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do enjoy it. I do. Trust me. I've been around boxing for a few years, and sometimes some of the bullshit that goes on behind the scenes, it's actually quite refreshing to be at some of these boxing events where it's just crazy people, it's packed out arenas, and it's just simple, no drama. Because sometimes at the events, the drama behind the scenes, mate. Jag Singh says, thinking of buying some tickets for the Yarde fight. I doubt there's much anticipation for the undercard, but the main fight would be good. I don't know what's on the undercard. I don't care. I just want to see Beterbiev over here as well. Like that's another thing, by the way. We should be like very thankful that we're getting a pound for pounder unified light heavyweight champion over here. I mean, that's the pull, I guess, that Frank has in terms of the money being offered to Beterbiev. But yeah, it's a good thing that he's over here. And I recommend everyone, especially if you're London based, I mean, you got a chance to see Beterbiev against Yarde. I mean, I don't know how much the tickets are going for, but if I could go, I would. I'm going to do a live watch along, but if I could go to that fight, I would certainly go to that fight because, man, that's going to be a great scrap for a few rounds. I think it's going to be a bit of a war. I expect Beterbiev to get the job done, but I think it'll be fun nonetheless. Django Skywalker says, yo, what up, bro? What up, Django? Where are we? SIH says, even that, good to see you doing the Sunday sessions live again. Regular, best time of the week. I was so close to canceling. Honestly, I'm so hungry and tired. I was going to cancel, but I thought, no, we got to do this. We got to do this. Punk-tastic. Even that, I heard Jermaine Franklin might be next for AJ. What do you think? That's not good enough. That's not good. You can't. Like, I know there was this, he might have beat Dillian White and it was close. I get that, but you can't fight someone that's coming off the back of a loss, can you? I don't think you can. Honestly, I don't think you can. So I'd be disappointed if it was Jermaine Franklin. Is Jermaine Franklin better than Dempsey McKean? I I don't know. I've not watched enough of Dempsey McKean. Look, the name for me still would be Otto Vollen. If that would still be my number one pick, just because I know some people say, yeah, but Tyson Fury fought Schwartz and all this. Yeah, I'm not. I don't want a. I always critiqued Fury for doing that Schwartz fight. I was like, why are you fighting Tom Schwartz? I don't want AJ to go down that route just because Fury did it or the other heavyweights do it. I don't think AJ should drop that far down. I don't, and I'm not a fan of. I think Jermaine Franklin's a good. I was actually talking about Jermaine Franklin fighting Daniel Dubois. So no, not for me. If that's what he does, I'll be disappointed. But look, I'll still support as always, but I'll be disappointed if it is Jermaine Franklin. I think AJ shouldn't be fighting someone that Dillian White just beat. No, not for me. 2 sec. Super chat here. Hashim Afzal, a super chat says, Adi, this might be a bit difficult for you to answer, but as a black man, how do you feel regarding Eddie Hearn's comment about Tank Davis not being a deep thinker? This is a good question. And look, I don't try and avoid difficult questions here. This is interesting because when I first heard this, I've not seen the clip of Eddie saying it, but I've just seen the text. When I first read this, I thought Eddie was basically saying that in the ring, and this is the way I've taken it, and you guys can say yay or nay to this, but in the ring, he's saying that he's not a deep thinker and he just goes out to kill you. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, he's not trying to think about what he's doing in the ring in terms of setup and blah, blah, blah. He's just a wrecking machine. And I think he compared him to Mike Tyson. If he's talking about out the ring, then it's wrong, clearly, because he is a deep thinker. He's got several businesses. I think he's a smart guy, regardless of how he acts and how he is. So I think Eddie's wrong. But if he's talking about in the ring, I don't see anything wrong with that. There are some fighters that fight on instinct, which I think Gervonta Davis is, and there are some fighters that, are thinking about what they do next. And I thought he was referring to the way in which Gervonta Davis was in the ring. Look, Eddie's come under a lot of stick. I think Espinoza said something sort of talking about it being racial and sort of the black angle, like, this is how black people are seen. I think Leonard Ellaby jumped on it as well. But I'm going to give Eddie the benefit of a doubt here. I don't think there was any racial angle to it. And I think this is the danger, I guess, with things like this, because what you don't need, it's almost like the kid that cried wolf. When there is a racial problem, let's attack the racial problem. Let's not create one if it's not there. Do you know what I mean? I will be the first to jump on something if I think, oh, 1 second, that no. If it's not there, I'm just not going to jump on it and make something out of it. And I don't think Eddie meant that in that way whatsoever. But that's just my take. I'll be interested to see what you guys think on it as well. 2 seconds. Another super chat here says, if Kelly Sowland and DAZN can promote Misfits, and if multiple pro fighters such as David A, MVP Chisora can enjoy crossover boxing, then it should be normalized. I don't, what it is? Look, they had Idris Virgo fighting. He was the first fighter on the card. He is a pro fighter. He's unbeaten in 13 fights. I was a bit surprised he was on. I said, we're getting into a weird space where you're getting pro fighters that want to do it. Obviously, Idris Virgo's got a following because he was on Love Island, but I still think it should be what it is. It should be Instagrammers, influencers that try and get in shape and just want to have a fight with each other. I still feel like there needs to be a bit of caution when it comes to the dangers of the sport. But ultimately, for me, it's just influencers and Instagrammers having a scrap. Anything else, I think it gets to a gray area. Like when you get guys like Idris Virgo, that clearly a very good boxer fighting, it's a bit like maybe he's a bit too good for this scene. So I think we've got to get careful with it. All right, let's get back to the questions. Where were we? Sasha English says, hey, evening all, evening, Sasha. Kayoshi says, good evening, Ade. Will you be involved in the international DAZN broadcast for Eubank Jr. versus Smith? No, I don't think they're doing it that way. So I'm going up on Thursday and Friday. So I'll be interviewing Smith and Eubank, and I'll be doing, I think, the weigh-in. But all I think they're doing is just taking the feed. So I don't think there's a broadcast team. I think they're just taking the feed. So there is no, like, you'd expect me or Kate Abdo or someone like, you know, in a studio. It's not like that. I think they're just gonna basically take what Sky do and it's gonna be on the DAZN platform, I think. But I've not been asked to do it anyway, so I don't think there's anything going on. What we got here? Reese Cooper says, how are you all doing? We're doing well, Reese. We're just getting through this one, brother. Andrew Tremblay says, greetings from California. Ade, greetings, my man. Must be sunny over there right now. Laura Kavanagh, Eden Ade in the chat. I like it. Everyone seems to be very good in the chat and nice in the chat. What's this one? Mohammed LaRusso says, do you watch the game live when you're on TalkSport? Yes, in TalkSport, it's pretty much like this. It's like this. You've obviously got a few screens in front of you, like TV screens, but then you've got the big TV screens. It's about I think there's about 7 in the main studio where you've got all the games on, so you can see all the games. And so so as I'm talking, I'm watching a lot of the football as well. So today, for example, I was able to watch Newcastle, Fulham, Palace, Chelsea, and obviously Arsenal, Spurs. JD_05 says, Ade, if you were 10 years younger, would you slide into Joella Noble's DMs? I've got Joella's number. We're good friends, so I don't need to slide into her DMs, but she is obviously a very talented and beautiful individual. William Gurman says, Eden, Ade, missed the last one, so glad to catch this one. Good that you're here, brother. Good that you're here. Remember, everyone that is here, we do need you to hit the thumbs up button for me, please. HK says, yes, Ade, steady, go. Mark Osborne says, hi, randomly really enjoyed the Misfits boxing last night. Again, look, I don't want to sort of beat the drum for it because I work on it. And so I understand that my views on it might be a bit skewed just because obviously I get paid, but I enjoy them a little bit. I enjoy them. Maybe because I watch the guys, I go to their gyms, I see what they do. But, you know, I've always said this. I don't think fighters nowadays promote themselves enough. And sometimes when I'm watching these influencers and they've all got cameras with them and, you know, they're always uploading Instagram and TikTok and all that shit, I'm like, I would love to see a fighter do that. Now, do I think a fighter can do that? No, I don't think a fighter can do that, right? They should concentrate on what they're doing. But surely they can employ someone to stay with them and that person do it. And that's one thing they could learn from this Misfits boxing crossover scene. Just watch the way these guys promote themselves. And I think boxing could win from it. It really could. The audience that was there yesterday was insane. Insane. People from all over the place. Like people wanting to be there. Like wanting to be seen there. And that's just because these guys have built up a following because they know how to promote themselves. It's insane. It really is. What do we do? Ade, do you have AJ's personal number? Just curious. No, I don't. I don't have AJ's number. We talk sometimes like DM, Instagram, voice note, Instagram, but I don't know his personal number now. This is a good question. Very good question there. Steve Smith, and a fair question. Ade, you was against YouTuber boxing a couple of years back. What's changed? Good point. And I'm happy someone brought it up. I was against, and I don't know if you guys remember this, and this is what I was really, in fact, I made a video about it. I was livid. I was against, there was an event, Billy Joe Saunders versus someone. I think it was a world title fight. And I think it was either Devin Haney or Demetrius Andrade. And they were on the undercard and a YouTube event. I think it might have been KSI was the main event. And I was like, no. This is wrong. You can't have that. You can't do that. You can't have a YouTuber and then legit world champions underneath. And after that, they separated. And then they just did YouTube events, which is what DAZN and Misfits are doing. And then you have the boxing event separate. And that's good for me. I would never have got on board if they were going to have legit fighters, world champions on the undercard of YouTubers. Can't accept it. And that's why I wasn't on board. And that's why I was against it. Because I think that's just wrong. So that's why. But I'm happy you answered. I'm happy you mentioned that because I remember doing a video about it and I wasn't happy at all. So yeah, thank you for bringing that one up because we're not going to avoid it at all. Super chat from Big Ben Odom back in the building. Jeez, big one. KSI needs to stay away from Joe Fournier. Maybe not a good idea. Dangerous fight. Yeah, Joe Fournier, you guys remember him. He's actually a fighter, if you like. Fought David Hay in, I don't know, 2 friends fighting each other. Both of them made some money. But that's kind of the fight KSI wants next. Joe Fournier is a better boxer than KSI, but Joe Fournier, I feel like, let's just say, lives the life a bit. Let's just say that. So I don't know how in shape or ready he will be for it, but yeah, it's interesting. Like, Ben's into it. Ben clearly knows. Ben's a boxing man. He knows what's going on. He must have watched it yesterday. He must have watched it. Ben, as always, my brother, appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Let's get back to the questions. Thousands coming in. Thousands. I'm not joking. 2 seconds. All right, this one. Cy H says, I would love to see AJ versus Hrgovic. I think that would be some fight. It'll be a great fight. I don't think it's something they're going to do. Although I wasn't too impressed with Hrgovic against Zhili Zhang. It could have been a one-off. I'm not quite sure, but I thought he looked, after about 4 or 5 rounds when he couldn't knock out Zhili Zhang, I just thought he looked tired and a bit of no plan B. No plan B. And Zhili Zhang won that fight. Hrgovic got it on the scorecards, but we've all watched boxing. Zhili Zhang won that fight. I was there. I was ringside. I don't need a judge to tell me who won that fight. But I don't think they'll do that one yet. I do think it's going to be, quote unquote, an easier fight first and then something big in the summer. But let's see what it is. Reese Cooper, I watched that last night, Ade, and it looked like you had a right laugh with Wade. Yeah, Wade, you know what? I do some stuff. Reese Cooper's talking about the Misfit stuff. I do it with a guy called Wade from America, who, although he covers a lot of YouTuber boxing, influencer boxing, I'm telling you now, mark my words, he's going to be doing real boxing in the next few months. He's very, very knowledgeable, very good, speaks well, knows the sport really, really well. So I expect him to do some big stuff very, very soon. Ben McGrath says, realistically, will Usyk Fury happen in March? They're cutting things very fine. I can see that fight getting pushed back to the summer. Hope not. Hope not. Obviously, we've got Usyk now calling out Fury. I guess you guys have seen the videos of it, which makes me think that a contract hasn't been signed. And I know Frank said last week a contract's been sent over. Has it been? Because once the call outs start happening and one side goes a bit quiet, you kind of question what's going on. Like, I hope, but I guess I'm with you, Ben. We've only got a couple of weeks to announce it. I still think there's a problem in terms of where the fight happens. It all looked like it was all systems go for the Middle East. That, again, is now gone quiet. Now they're talking about for potentially, and look, it's good for UK fight fans, but they're talking about the fight potentially happening at the Tottenham Stadium or at Wembley, which, again, good for fight fans, right? But not good for the pockets of Usyk and Fury. The money changes drastically. So maybe there's a hold up there. 2 secs. A lot of you saying influencer boxing is cringe. What's this one? FFS, it's John. So for fuck's sake, it's John. Can you see any of the Misfits boxers ever going into the program? Yeah, 100%. That they spar pros. Like, I've seen Dean the Great spar pros. Salt Pappy, 100% can fight a pro. Like, it depends what level we're talking about. I mean, come on, we see some of the pros fight bloody journeymen that have lost 60 times. So it depends what you're talking about. Can they turn pro? Absolutely. Can they win some pro fights? Yes. Can they go on and win titles? Maybe not. And in fact, probably definitely not. But can they turn pro? Of course they can. I mean, look, guys, we all watch pro boxing. I mean, we seen some shower of shit in pro boxing, so of course they can. What's this one? P231 says, hi, Ade, it's me again. Hope you've got your AJ hat on from last week. Did a great job last night. Thank you very, very much. AJ hat is it's stuck. I can't get it off. What's this one? John Cahill says, yes, Ade, been a while since I remembered to tune into these. So glad Wood versus Lara is happening. Yeah, look, great fight, right? We've got we haven't got long to go as well. What, February the 18th? So we've got about a month to go. That's a big fight, and that stadium, so the arena, the Nottingham Arena, should be bouncing, should be good. The undercard's been announced as well. Dalton Smith, I think, is on the undercard, if I read correctly. Siobhan Clark, there's a few others as well. So look, yeah, really looking forward to that. Philip Answer says, what makes you think Yarde has a chance against Beterbiev? Beterbiev gives everyone a chance, I've noticed, in fights. But to be fair, these guys are better than Yarde. Marcus Brown better than Yarde. Vosdick better than Yarde. But it gives you a chance. But then he will get you. So they've all kind of caused him some problems, right? They've all blooded his face, hurt him a bit. Callum Johnson put him down years ago. Yarde certainly has the power. But the problem is he just the best way to describe Beterbiev is that he outmans you. I think that's the only way I can describe it. I'm not going to get technical in terms of what he does, but he just outmans you. Like, he's going to take you to a place after you do get your opportunity that you don't want to be. And that's the problem. But Yarde definitely has a chance. And it's not just a puncher's chance. He's got a chance. Beterbiev is 38, let's not forget. But boy, it's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy at all. Hamza Abdirahman says Haney Loma. Yeah, it looks like that's signed. I think I saw the date was May. You know what it is about when these fights are so, it's good that we know so far in the future, so much can happen. Like I'm more focusing on what's going to happen between now and April in terms of that, like what's filling that boxing void. May's too far away from me even to think about it now. Baz H, Salt Pappy is legit. And don't argue with me. He's legit. I watch boxing. Salt Pappy can fight. And I think someone was telling me as well that he had quite a few amateur fights. Salt Pappy's been fighting since he was 9. He's 9 years old. He can fight. There's no two ways about it. Again, can he beat legit guys in boxing? Maybe not. Could he turn pro? Of course he can. Of course he can. Wolford says AJ versus Jermaine Franklin is a bit of a low, in my opinion. Eddie just wants to protect AJ's career as it is soon coming to the end. No hate, just being honest. Okay, you know when you say things like that, that Eddie wants to protect AJ's career, you do know that it's not Eddie that decides who AJ fights. I hope you know this, because I think maybe people I used to get it confused like that as well. AJ's management team will decide that Eddie's the promoter. Eddie's job is a promoter. Eddie's job isn't the matchmaker. Yes, he will have conversations with them and he'll be brought into these conversations, but AJ's got his team that will look at the fights on tape. You know, they'll send the offers out. The 258 management will do that. Yes, again, there'll be a conversation with Eddie Hearn, but it's not Eddie that decides who AJ fights. It's not. I think people need to maybe stop thinking that. You've got a management team and matchmakers who decide that. Freddie Cunningham and the crew will decide who AJ fights, and Eddie will then run with that. 786 NAF says, is Yarde one of the worst managed fighters in history? He jumps into these fights by somehow managing to beat B-level fighters. Beterbiev will break him in half and it will take another year off again. It depends how you look at it, you know. You could say worst managed. Some might say, oh, man's got 2 world title shots. Some might say he got paid a lot to go to Russia. And now I'm guessing he's going to get paid a decent amount to fight Beterbiev. So there's 2 ways to look at it. Is he ready for those fights? Maybe not. But ultimately, if your manager can get you millions and world title fights, maybe they've done a good job. There's 2 ways to look at it. I'm kind of with you. I'd like to see him build steadily. But hey, if your manager's getting you that and world title opportunities, you're in the sport for 2 things, right? You're not in the sport to fight C and B level guys. You're in the sport to fight the best, make loads of money, and have world title opportunities. He's ticked all 3 of those. So again, it depends how you look at it. But I get your point, though. I do. No, not at all. Not at all. Flynn says, who's that Wade guy? Seems to me like he's blagged his way to that position with very little boxing knowledge. No. I no. Trust me, this guy knows his boxing. Not just his boxing, his MMA, knows a lot. Wade, he's got a YouTube channel that's got like 250,000 followers. If I'm always do this with people that have big YouTube channels, always go to the bottom to see their very first videos. Wade started doing live watch-alongs of UFC events and boxing events that were getting like 20, 30 views, no views. Trust me when I say he's grinded for this. He's not blagged it at all. He's grinded for it. All right, what we got? This is interesting. I haven't seen this. Deep Random Thinker says, no fights signed or scheduled after the 28th of January. Not a great start. Deja vu. No, we've got some fights we're talking about. What does that mean? We've got some fights. We've got Taylor Sorry, Taylor. Serrano undisputed, Baumgarten undisputed. That's February 4th. We've got fights. There are definitely cards. We just need more cards. We need more cards. What else we got? Django Skywalker. Oscar was saying everything was signed. Looks like Ryan is using Tank's name again. I think they're both using each other's names, if I'm honest with you. You're right, though. Oscar did say it was signed. I don't know what's going on. Honestly, I don't know what is going on. I was around a lot of the zone bigwigs. I should have asked the question yesterday. Joe Markowski was there. Everyone was there. Everyone was there. And I should have asked what's going on, but I just was concentrating on my own show. But yeah, it's crazy. I'm not quite sure. Ziggy, yes, my brother. Thank you for the words yesterday, mate. Hopefully keep in contact. Ziggy has a YouTube. Ziggy, put your YouTube channel in this conversation. He's only 15 years old. I met him yesterday and he started up his YouTube channel talking boxing. 15. Insane. And his video quality is incredible. 15 years old. Wow. Mad. Emmett Oliver says, evening, Ade. I'm a little worried that Fury versus Usyk hasn't been announced. Frank Rowan said first draft sent to Usyk, no more update. If they want March, clock ticking fast. I think this happens in the summer. Yeah, kind of going to repeat myself, but I just feel like something's going on behind the scenes with regards to the venue. I hope I'm wrong. And if anyone knows any more information, let me know. But I feel like this was all set to go to the Middle East and that seems to have stopped. And now we're hearing it could happen here. So I just wonder if a contract was sent which had included Middle East money, and now they need to redraft that shit and just put London money. Because there will be a big difference, right? There's going to be no big site fee, is there? Cy H says, I honestly think that Liam Smith will do a job on Eubank. A good boxer always beats Eubank. Yeah, I know what you mean. Groves, although Groves was much bigger. And Billy Joe Saunders was early in his career, and Eubank did do well in the second half of that fight. We'll see. We'll see, because you could maybe say the same thing about Smith, although Smith has beaten better opposition, but Munguia maybe. Obviously, Canelo's Canelo. I said Smith. I've kind of changed. I've gone Eubank. Now you're making me think Smith. I'm not quite sure. It's a good fight. That kind of back and forth tells you that it's a close fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Fahazan Reyes says, Adam, I'm going to Lagos, Nigeria for 2 weeks next month. Would love to get in touch and pick your brains on what to do out there. I'm actually out there as well next month. So send me a DM, brother. Might have to go and have a drink somewhere, because I am right now doing a dry January, but I'm telling you now, February the 1st hits, we're getting a drink. Another one says, Adi did a great job last night. To be honest, thank you very much. Isn't easy. That shit isn't easy, boy. What's this? PGMC says, in your experience, which boxer is most unlike he's her boxing persona when the cameras aren't rolling or when she isn't promoting a fight, etc.? Let me read that properly. I'm not trying to snitch on any boxer and get in trouble here. In your experience, which boxer is most unlike he's her boxing persona when the cameras aren't rolling? Okay. And when she isn't promoting a fight. Good question. Who puts it on for the camera? Who's very good at selling? Eubank's a bit quiet. I've been around Eubank a few times and he's a bit quiet to the point where you're not quite sure what to do. And then when the cameras are on and you ask him a question, he gives you a fucking amazing answer. But before that, and I don't know if he's just guarded and maybe he didn't know who I was properly. But he was very like, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get from him. Like very just quiet, didn't say much, no entourage really. And then when they started talking, I was like, wow, okay. So Eubank was definitely one. Most of them are quite the same, you know. I'll tell you something, Tyson Fury, very quiet behind the scenes. In fact, he might be number one. Tyson Fury is very quiet. I did an interview of Tyson Fury and I feel like I got the real Fury. I did interview him for TalkSport. This was just before the Dillian White fight. And I feel like I got something out of him. But normally Tyson Fury is so quiet and then the lights go on and he's WWE like. But yeah, so Eubank and Fury are probably the ones that spring to mind the most. Brad Mahood says, yes, Addy, hope you're well, brother. How do you think Wood Lara goes? Does Wood pull it out the bag late on, as he done in his last 2 fights? Man, if he, look, I will say this, if he gets hit like in his last 2 fights, then this ain't going anywhere. If he gets hit the way Michael Conlan hit him clean a lot of times. If he gets hit like that, then I think we all can maybe agree that Lara hits harder than Conlan. So he has to be on his toes here and box. Look, I know he's not the prettiest boxer, but he can get the job done. I think Ben Davison's done really good things with him. But this is going to be some battle for him. Some battle. All right, a couple of super chats have just come in. Let's quickly read those. JD_05 says, Ade, have you ever been in trouble with the police? Nah, I've been stopped for driving without a license when I was younger. I haven't. I've been quite fortunate, because a lot of my friends growing up have been in trouble with the police, arrested, some are in jail as we speak. But I've never been in trouble. You know what? I remember my mum, yeah, bless her, when she thought I was maybe getting a bit into that crowd, she took me to the police station when I was about 15, 14, 15. When you start to get to that little street crowd. And she took me in for the police to have a word with me. Like, yeah, warn my son what will happen. I remember a policeman sitting me down and saying, you're going to be locked up. And he actually showed me the cell. You're going to be locked up in here if you mess about, blah, blah, blah. But no, I've always been fearful of my mum and just respectful that I've always seemed to have avoided it. Not saying I didn't do bad things. Maybe I was just fortunate not to be caught doing those bad things. But no, never been in trouble like that with the police. All right. I think I saw G-Man. Alexander Wilson says, any updates on Conor Benn? Nothing. I'm waiting like you guys are waiting. Honestly, nothing. All we saw was that he was hitting pads in Australia. So he's 100% in Australia. But yeah, I haven't seen him. G-Man says, salute to Ade. YouTuber boxing, if it helps grow the fan base in pro boxing, I'm all good with that. PS, what do you think about what I sent you early? What did you send me? Let me know. Oh, about us doing a live. G-Man wants to do a live. Should we do a Yeah, we can do that live, G-Man. We need to get G-Man to 10,000 subscribers. I think he's on the edge of 10,000. With regards to it growing pro boxing, I don't even know if it does that. I just feel like you've got to separate the two. I'm not quite sure if those fans will then tune into Conor Benn. I don't know how it works, but I just feel like you separate the two. And that's kind of what I've done in my brain. To sex people. I just saw one more come in, then we'll get to the questions. Okay, I think this is kind of repeating the same one. JD, have you ever been in trouble with the police? What was your position in football when you were a youngster? Forward, striker, fast. I was rapid. I'm not joking, so fast. I was the fastest in my school. I used to run for my district, district Newham. I then ran for Essex schools as well. Can't run anymore, boy. Got old. This is interesting. Ade, Jon Jones is back. Yes, Jon Jones is back. He fights Cyril Gane for the UFC heavyweight title. Like I tweeted the other day, like I love Jon Jones. Like I can't, but he's been out of the octagon for 3 years. He didn't look great in his last 2 fights. He's put on 40 pounds to do this heavyweight run. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wish, but I don't know. Michael Van Gerwen says, hello, Ade. Did you know Pineda, I think you're saying, was the mystery opponent? Yes, I did. Man. 2 secs. Maestro A says, hey, Ade, did you see a Jagba last night? Are people still talking about a Jagba, AJ Jagba? I remember you mentioned it. I think AJ should take on Flip Hergovich, get the IBF shot. He barely beat Zhang. I think that as well. I really think that if I'm AJ, I just go for it. Like, fuck it. I'll go for you. I just go for you. I think he'll knock out Hergovich. Look, there's drama there because Hergovich can punch as well, but they all can punch. Heavyweight boxing, just go for it, man. I didn't watch the Jagba fight last night, unfortunately, just because I was working the event and tired after events. I didn't stay up for it. I know Ajagba won just right against Shaw. I'll watch it later on tonight. No one is talking about AJ Ajagba. I think the only reason they were talking about it was because of the Nigerian link. But apart from that, it's just not a fight that people even mention at all. But yeah. Yeah, let's get into this one. P20 or 231 says, Ade, I want an answer from you later about something, but the zone AJ company man Eddie Hearn that needs to come off. Great job last night. It's never on. I'm more honest than most, but anyway, answer your question. John Cahill says Yarde versus Beterbiev soon. Can't wait. Firefight start to finish. Interesting to see if Yarde can put a dent in Beterbiev, whether he goes all in or manages his tank. I think it's a much better Yarde than was against Sergey Kovalev, but I also think that Beterbiev ain't no Sergey Kovalev. I think this guy's just a killer. Honestly, I think like when I think of a killer in boxing, I just think of him. Like he's just got that mean look about him as well. So look, it won't be easy for Yarde, but the rewards are so big. You know, when something, you know, that risk reward thing that I always talk about. The risk is, look, unfortunately, the risk is you could get hurt. The risk is you get hurt and you lose. The reward, if you win, is enormous. Now think about the reward if you win. Not only do you make all that money from the fight, which is good, but then you are the unified light heavyweight champion. And then the next fight, you're making millions. Because it either be a rematch or it's bivol. The reward is so big. So big. Okay, this is interesting. Punktastic says, do you think the main boxing channel should cover the crossover stuff? I guess it's getting them lots more views. Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it. If they're all about views on YouTube and whatever else they put it on TikTok, Facebook, whatever, then these guys get them views. So I can understand why they do it. I really can. I don't think. I think all of them were there yesterday. So I think Boxing Social, IFL TV, others as well. I don't know of ID Boxing, so Rob Tebbett's crew. I don't know if they were there. I didn't see them or anyone there yesterday. Plebeian Musk says, does Eubank Jr. have any chance of getting the KO against Smith? Yeah, of course he does. Absolutely. He's got, I don't know if it's power. I don't know if he possesses the power that we think he possesses, because that thing he does when but he's definitely got power that can gain respect. You'll get your respect. And he's very fast early. First 3 or 4 rounds are very dangerous for Smith. After that, I'm not sure, man. Reese Cooper says, these promoters are annoying as fuck. Promoters do annoy me. Boxing promoters do annoy me. This is the thing, again, this is what I'm talking about. As much as everyone's upset about the YouTube boxing, there's so much other things that you could be annoyed about with this crazy sport. Like I could list, there's 100 things, and then there's YouTuber boxing. Like there's 100 other things that annoy me about the sport of boxing that we love. 100. All the weight classes annoy me. There's so many weight classes, so many belts. Mandatory, there's dodgy mandatories that the WBL, WBC, or all of them put together somehow. Rematch clauses, hydration clauses, rehydration clauses, like catch weights, steroids in the sport, fights not happening, so many other things, and people are pissed off about some YouTubers making money. Mate, fucking hell, crazy. Interesting question here. Matthew Williams says, Ade, what's the deal with your office? You spoke a while ago about you're going to give up. I am giving it up, people. This is probably the last 3 or 4 weeks that I will be here. The setup will look the same where I'm taking it to, but yeah, this is the last 3 or 4 weeks that I'll be in this. I'm still going to do exactly what we're going to do. We're still going to try and get some guests in my new space, but yeah, we are moving from here. 2 secs. CRB, Tank versus Ryan, you were saying, told you. You know, the difference between me and CRB, yeah, is that I like to think of things, I like to see good in the world. I'd like to think that everything can happen. I don't like to think negative all the time, because it drains my energy. I like to think if I put it out there, it will come good. And unfortunately, the boxing is showing us that it's not going to work and it's not going to come good. Like, I still hope and have, and harbor ambitions that it happens. But it looks like we are closer to it not happening than happening. I'm talking about obviously Tank and Ryan. 2 secs. 2 seconds, people. I from what I'm seeing, there seems to be someone having a little race conversation in the chats. Don't do it, you get blocked. We don't do that over here. We do not do that. 2 seconds. This is interesting. I don't know what you want me to say about this. What did you make of the DAZN report that came out that they lost $2.2 billion in 2021? Is the zone in trouble? I think if anyone loses 2.2 billion, there's going to be problems. But I have no idea what goes on with regards to DAZN and their money behind the scenes. I don't have a clue. Although someone did tell me that was money that was put aside because they wanted to try and at the time acquire, was it BT Sports or Discovery? But look, when it comes to DAZN's finances and stuff, I mean, you're just looking at an employee here. I don't know. I have no idea. Hamza says Haney and Loma looks like it might be happening in May. How you think that will go? Love the Sunday sessions. I think, unfortunately, to my disgust, that Loma gets beat. I do. I just think Haney's now a lot better than he was a year ago. Obviously, a lot more confident coming off of those good wins against Cambosos. Is a lot bigger. I think we saw that when Haney got in the ring after Loma's last fight. Loma looked really bad, I thought, last time out. Some might say that's down to ring rust, and I get all that, but I think Haney's just a bit too fresh, bit too young, bit too big for Lomachenko this time around. So I expect Loma to get it done. What's this one? CRB, respect for keeping it 100 on Franklin fight as complete BS. Yeah, I will keep it 100. I'll keep it 100. Hopefully it doesn't happen. What's this one? Tony Corbin says AJ should fight the Juggernaut or Dubois. He ain't fighting Joyce. That ain't happening anytime soon. Ain't happening anytime soon. Dubois, AJ would flatline Dubois. That's a horrible phrase. You know what I mean? I just don't like to use that phrase, but you know what I mean. He'll knock out Dubois. Daniel Dubois is not ready for Anthony Joshua. Don't let anyone from Queensbury fool you. I'm very honest about matchups in terms of who I think could beat who. Daniel Dubois is not ready for an Anthony Joshua type fighter. No way. You don't go from fighting Trevor Bryan, Kevin Larena, AJ. There's about 25 to 30 fighters in between that lot. No chance. Absolutely no chance. 2-6. Kyoshi, Idris Virgo said that he will stay in that influencer boxing space. He was unlikely to become a world champion or anything, but do you think more pro boxers will cross over to influencer events? This is where that Misfits and the Zone, Kali Sal, and everyone involved needs to be careful. Because if you are a pro boxer, I can understand why you'd look at that scene and think, I'll do that. But it's not really for pro boxers, is it? It's not really their scene. So there's got to be a case of, look, if you could match two pro boxers that have a fan base and they're kind of on the same level, then okay, cool. But if you're matching a pro boxer against an influencer, then there's going to be a problem there, because pro boxers are clearly much better, and there's going to be a danger, sort of an element of danger. But I saw Idris. So as Idris Virgo's coming out on the stage, I'm on the stage, or you don't see me, I'm off shot, I'm off camera. And I'm watching him look around and think, fuck me. Because when he came out, there was 13,000 in there, full, packed. He would never have fought in anything like that ever. He's probably thinking, shit. And he probably, could be wrong, but I'm guessing he probably got paid more in that fight than maybe at least half of his fights combined. So why would he not want to stay there? Like, why would you not? He's probably thinking, I'll fight Tommy Fury, which I don't mind that. See, this is it. I don't mind that. Him versus Tommy Fury, I don't mind, because Tommy Fury is a boxer, or what, has a boxing license and is a pro boxer. But anything else, nah. Okay, this is from Maestro. This is in reference to what Eddie said about Javante Davis. I kind of said if Eddie's talking about in the ring, then maybe he's okay with it. Maestro says I think it's wrong in the ring too. He does a lot of thinking in there. Yeah, maybe. I think did Javante share a screenshot of him asking Eddie like, "Well, why did you say that about me?" I didn't know them to even talk like that. And Eddie tried to explain it. I don't know if Javante's then said something after, but look, some are saying it's, I think the majority are saying it's wrong. I think the majority, I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. And some are saying they can understand where Eddie was coming from. But yeah, I can see that it's pissed off a lot of people. Um, I still don't think it was to do with race. But I'm not gonna. If you do, I'm not gonna argue with you. I can't tell you how you view race, especially not if you're from the States, where I think it's obviously extremely heightened. Um, 2 seconds. A lot of you. 2 secs, peeps. The Combat Kiwi says, we can criticize influencer boxing all we want, but traditional boxing can learn a thing or two when the event is packed from the very first fight. Yeah, there is something in that. That's maybe the one thing. So there's two things that I really like that I want boxing to take from crossover boxing. The way in which the fighters deal with their social media channels and sort of have that relationship with fans that can only help, right? And they also the other thing is how the events are packed from the beginning. There's something very, I think, archaic and old school about having the worst fighters and then build up to the best fighters. Like, surely you want to get people in from the beginning. So surely it makes sense having a very good fight to open the card, and then you mix it, and then obviously look, the main event will be the main event, but there must be something in having a very, very good fight to kick things off. Because you go to these boxing events, there's no one in there until the main event. I mean, look, you'll get a few in there, but the majority of the people don't make their way into the boxing arena until the main event. And I hate that. So there must be something about getting in fight fans early. So, and I think that's putting on a good fight straight away. Or I think someone said this the other day, just put on good cards. You put on good cards from top to bottom, all fight fans are going to turn up, aren't they? Should be easy. King OP the Great says, Even Ade, are you going to the Super Bowl this year? I think I am. It's 90% done. Just waiting on green on a couple of other things, but I hope to go. Obviously, it's in Phoenix, Arizona, so it's going to be great weather. But yeah, I hope to go. GT says, "Are you a tennis fan, Ade? Watching the Australian Open?" I was a tennis fan. I was lucky enough to grow up in and around. I'm showing my age here, but obviously going way back to Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, and then through that era, we then had the era of Federer and Nadal and Djokovic, and this era I've not really jumped onto yet. I might start watching it again because I might be doing something for Wimbledon in the summer, but yeah, not what I used to be. Put it that way, not what I used to be. Dayi Kin says, always a pleasure watching you. Enjoyed the show last night. Big up, Ade. Thank you so much, man. Big up. Thank you. What's this one? Big up Rory in the chat. Is Rory Jennings in the chat? I didn't even know he was in here. Bradley Davison. Does Golovkin fight Eubank next? I think he's waiting for that. Yeah, I think Golovkin will make his mind up after the Eubank fight, which isn't long, obviously, and decide. If Smith wins, I don't think Golovkin fights Smith. If Eubank wins, then I think there's a good chance that we do get Eubank or Golovkin Eubank over here in the summer. I think that happens. Where are we? 2 6. Joe Fournier is a fraud. Explain. Explain what you mean. Explain what you mean. Base the kid. You don't seem as bold and vocal on Twitter these days, Ade. Is everything okay? Any teams getting you down? Yeah, Liverpool have really nice, thank you. Liverpool have just hurt my soul. Can't describe the feeling of what Liverpool are doing to me right now. But I'm also a Liverpool fan that's been through the mud with them. So kind of, I enjoyed the last 5 years. It was fantastic. It is what it is. It is what it is. Fuck it. W. Thornton says, I really enjoyed watching the fighter refusing to comply to his corner doctor and quit on his feet, and the woman slinging blooded haymakers was awesome. I feel like that is you having a dig. Leaderboard guy, what's good, brother? Long time. Leaderboard guy. I ain't seen you or heard from you for ages. Brad Mahood, it says, Ade, a thought on recent undercards in the UK across all promoters. Are they having an influence on people's lack of interest in boxing at the moment? Cards are very thin at the moment. I said this. I remember Eddie. I think Eddie said it wasn't the case. I don't know who he was being interviewed by. I said, look, over here, we are a small island over here. I know we like to think we're a big, a big player in the boxing world, and we are, but it's still very, very small, the UK. So you've got a lot of the small hall shows, like Lee Eaton puts on small hall shows a lot of the time. So you've got small hall shows. You've got Wasserman that do their stuff on Channel 5. You've got Sky Sports and Boxer. You've got Queensbury, BT Sports. You've got Matchroom, DAZN. You've got 5. It's 5. I'm sorry, we don't have enough fighters for 5. I mean, it's good. All the fighters are getting paid. Good luck. You're going on TV, which is fantastic. I'm hearing there's another TV giant that's going to get involved with boxing very, very soon. So it's going to be 5. You're going to have thin cards. Imagine if all that 5 talent was on one broadcaster. The cards would be insane, but they're not. We're just spreading. Thin. It's a shame. Okay, this is why Joe Fournier is a liar. Joe Fournier just lies about all his supposed achievements. The boy's lying to the bank, which I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's interesting seeing him up close yesterday. Man was dripping with money. I was like, okay. What's this one? SS14 says Lara is a 1-3 favorite to beat Wood. Odds on Wood getting the W and 9-4. Definitely worth putting a tenner on that. Yeah. Definitely worth putting. Well, tenner on which one? 9-4. Definitely. Where are we? Okay, it's interesting. First of all, I don't know, but the question is, do you have any recent updates on James DeGale? Towards the end, he seemed to have some wear and tear from boxing, wondering if he's okay. Someone did tell me that he's starting to train fighters now. So look, there must be a weird come down from these guys, especially like a James DeGale that's been fighting since he was a kid. There must be a weird come down from fighting. It's all you've known. It's everything you've ever done, and to it just stopping. And it isn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's not a lot of jobs in football for everyone, but after football, there are so many coaching jobs you can do worldwide. So many TV stuff, radio stuff. With boxing, there isn't that pathway, so it must be very difficult when you're not involved with boxing. So I heard he's fine and he's starting to coach. So hopefully we see him on the scene very, very soon. I feel like he's a fighter that people started to appreciate towards the end a lot, James DeGale. We talk about Froch, and look, I'm not comparing the CVs, but Froch was that world warrior that would fight everyone. Look at James DeGale's CV. James DeGale went on the road a lot and fought a lot of people as well. A lot of people. So he deserves his respect. Remember, he fought Durrell, didn't he? He fought Badu Jack on the road. He fought Lucian Bute. Really good fighter. Really, really good fighter. Where are we? 2 secs. Brendan Owusu says AJ versus Jermaine Franklin. Thoughts I've already given them. Hopefully, you've seen that. A couple of super chats have just come in. We're going to quickly read those. Loads of questions are coming in. It's quite difficult to answer all of them, but loads of questions are coming in. Super chat here from my boy Maestro. Really appreciate it, brother. Says, will AJ win a real title again? I like the way you put real in capital letters there. If so, against who and when? When are you back in New York City for a live London, New York City boxing? Bless up, brethren. Bless up, Maestro. Will AJ win a title again? I don't know. I don't know. I need to see where his head's at and his next couple of fights. I have no idea where he's at right now. Again, we don't know the training situation. We hear the rumors. We don't know what's going on there. Usyk, Fury. I mean, those are two tough fights from boys. So if any of those guys have still got the titles, then it's difficult. AJ's best opportunity, really, if we're being brutally honest, right now, is if Fury or Usyk fight each other and become undisputed. Then if they do that, the belts will just splinter everywhere, because I don't think they're going to defend those and the mandatory fees, etc. So they'll vacate. Whoever becomes undisputed out of those two, I think, will vacate. I don't think they'll continue to have undisputed fights. Then AJ might pick up a fight with one of the vacated belts and fight someone. If that's still real, I'm not quite sure, but I think that's what happens with AJ. As for New York, I thought I was coming New York February the 4th, but there's that what do you do, Super Bowl, or do you do boxing? You know what I mean? Not bad to have those options, is it? What's this one? Have you ever competed in amateur boxing in the past, Ade, or any combat sport? Big fan of the channel. I actually did kickboxing for about a year. I'm based in East London. There was a kickboxing class that me and my friend Uye, spelled Uye, used to go to in Upton Park, so basically near West Ham's old ground. And then I did boxing at Newham Boys ABC in Plaistow. I didn't do any of those things for very long and didn't have too many fights, but I did both, yeah, as a kid. When I have kids, my kids are definitely getting involved in combat sports just for the sake of self-defense, 100%. G-Man says, thanks for this, bro. With Yarde Beterbiev turns 38 next week. Beterbiev just breaks his opponents down with power. With his power, it's going to be G. It's going to be. Does he mean it's going to be good? Okay, this is the question I think that P231 wanted to ask me, and wanted to ask me if my hat being removed, my AJ hat. Ade, do you think Joyce beats AJ with his current mental obstruction? AJ has, with his current mental obstruction that AJ has, and Joyce's ability to take a shot. I think AJ wins, but boy, you know what? In fact, you know what? I think that's a 50-50 scrap. I think AJ, you know, the thing about AJ's power, yeah, I've always thought that AJ had mad knockout power, and part of me still believes he does, but I don't think it's the power that I thought it was. Do you know what I mean? Like, one punch, you ain't getting the fuck up type power. And sometimes that's kind of what I feel like it's going to need to dent that Joe Joyce. If AJ can't dent Joe, there's two things about Joe Joyce that scare the shit out of me. One, he seems to absorb punches like doesn't make sense. That will end, by the way. You can't continue that. The second is his gas tank. It's very, very scary. I think AJ is a better boxer than him. I think AJ hits harder than him, but I think Joe Joyce's ability to absorb punches and his gas tank scare me. So I think if you're talking about who do you make a favorite now, if it was made right now, I think you might have to swing Joe Joyce's way. I think you might have to swing his way. Do I think AJ can win? Yes. Favorite right now? Probably Joe Joyce. You always base it on what have you done for me lately, and Joe Joyce's performance against Joseph Parker, where he broke him down. But could AJ do that to Joseph Parker as well? Now, I'm not sure. It's a good question. Good question. Was that honest enough for you? Was my AJ hat on? I don't know. Aka Skins, ID boxing don't cover YouTube boxing, they just cover real boxing. That's obviously not true. Aka Skins, because they do. Where'd you get this information from? Where'd you get this information from? Oh boy. JD_05 says, I assume you don't rate Jon Jones's personality as he hit his wife, crashed his car into a pregnant lady's vehicle, etc. Number one MMA fighter, though. Yeah, look, there's no two ways about it. It's difficult not to look at his transgressions because there are so many. He's clearly a flawed human being in every sense of the word. I try with everyone to separate what goes on in their personal life and what they do as a fighter. I try. But Jon Jones has obviously crossed the line so many times. So it is difficult to still, be the massive Jon Jones fan I once was. But it's weird for me, it's very difficult just because I grew up watching Jon Jones. Like I grew up watching Jon Jones come through as this young 21-year-old, 22-year-old. And to see where he is now is quite difficult. But look, I'm not even going to defend him. Everything you said there is correct. Um, it's just a shame to see someone that could have really taken over the world. Like when I know Conor McGregor is massive, and you've had Ronda Rousey who was big, and Anderson Silva. Jon Jones for me at one stage could have been bigger than all of them, and it just didn't happen. I'm not quite sure. It just didn't happen. Where are we? Jo says, is the new space for the setup bigger than where you are now? No, it's not necessarily bigger. I'd say it's pretty much the same size. It's just the cameras are going to be all different. I've got cameras, like obviously I've got a camera, but we're going to just do it a lot better. Again, this was all me. I've done this all myself. I'm going to get help to make the new setup a bit better, but you guys will see. Mad Dog Sports Entertainment says, Ade, do you think the golden era of 135 will never materialize? Four Kings, etc., or can it still happen? No, I can't. Like, remember, we were talking about that at the time. Remember, they said the Four Kings, and for those of you who don't know, he was talking about. We said Gervonta Davis, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, and Devin Haney. How many of those have fought each other? I'll answer for you. None. None. Imagine that. None. They fought each other. That four, and they were talking about that four 3 years ago. That four haven't fought each other. Yes, I get there's been a pandemic, but they've all had fights. They've not fought each other. One's gone to 140. I don't know what's going on with Teofimo Lopez either, by the way. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Gervonta Davis looks like he's going to fight Ryan. Is he? I don't know. Rubbish. So we'll see. Rubbish. Baz H says the zone must be on the ropes. Misfits has probably saved the channel. I don't know why you think that. Like the zone don't just do boxing. I think we maybe the funny thing is the fact that you think that says the zone don't do enough in publicizing what else they do, but boxing isn't all the zone do. But yeah, I think they're all right. I think the zone are okay. They've just signed a deal with the PFL as well. Professional Fighters League, MMA, if you guys don't know. So that they're not just doing boxing. And obviously they're trying to get the football, which is kind of the most important thing, I think, right? 2 seconds. Why do people ask these kind of questions? Like, I'm going to read it out, but I don't understand. What do you want me to say? What do you make of Michelle Joy Phelps going down the OnlyFans route? Get your money. It like doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. Get your money. I know a few people that do OnlyFans. And they're talking about making 40, 50 grand a month. And look, I don't applaud it. I also don't thumbs down it. Like, do what you got to do. I'm if it's not hurting you personally or hurting us, which it clearly isn't, people will sign up to see whatever they want to see. I don't know what Michelle Joy Phelps is showing. Get your money. Get your money. It shows how little money there was though in boxing for her, or like because obviously she's been covering it for a while behind the gloves, doing other stuff as well, but she's decided to go down that route. So I mean, good luck to her, man. 2 seconds. Johnny Gaffer, Virgo, wait, no. I'm telling you now, he's not too small for Fury. I've been next to both. He is not too small for Fury. He had to come down in weight for this fight that he had against Anthony Taylor. I've been around, but by the way, that Virgil is, I mean, he is in shape. Oh my God, that physique is crazy. But yeah, he'll do that fight all day long. But yeah. What's this one? Kevin Armstrong boxing video says, all right, Ade, I hope you're good. Mr. Beterbiev Yard chat. but the title caught my eye. For me, Yarde has a chance for sure, but for me, it's minimal. I'd say 8-13 for Berbatov. I'm tired, people. 8-13 for Beterbiev in rounds 1 to 6 is a great bet. Okay. Berbatov. Yeah, that's a good bet, isn't it? That's a good bet. Yeah, look, I mean, I'm trying to sell it, but I think Yarde will get beaten. I think Yarde will get stopped. I just think that Yarde will have some spots in there as well. Let's have a look. 2-6. Misfits. What about the boxer Ryan Taylor that wouldn't fight after getting jabbed in the eye? Was his corner and the doctor out of order, or should he have gone on? No, shouldn't have gone on. Saw him backstage. I was fucked. Couldn't see out that eye at all. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't risk it. Couldn't see out the eye. You just don't fight. You don't fight at all. There were some people saying that he quit and all that kind of stuff. I saw his eye. You don't do it. You don't fight his eye. It's too risky. What are you doing? Jake Parsons says, is TalkSport live 24 hours a day? Yes, it is a 24-hour radio show. Obviously, the main times are from 6 in the morning till 1 in the morning. But yeah, 24 hours. 2-6. Dave P says, Anthony Joshua comeback against Tony Yoka, gold medalist versus gold medalist. That ain't going to happen, but it's be interesting to see what they do with Tony Yoka. Obviously, he got beat by Bakoli, as well. We've not really heard much. Very interesting to see what he does next. Ade, who's more annoying, Gabby or Jamie O'Hara? Both of them are actually really cool behind the scenes, but in terms of their takes, Gabby, 100%, because Gabby's having a go at Liverpool a lot right now as well. So yeah, 2-6. Question here for CRB: when are you kicking off the boxing podcast? Yeah, CRB, when are you kicking off your boxing podcast? I want to know. What's this one? Johnny Gaffer says, Ade, have you heard the Undefeated are hosting a pay-per-view, Spencer Fearon versus Maestro, the Battle of the Knowledge? I mean, both of those guys know a lot. I will say this, though. Maestro, I know you're on here still. Hopefully you're still on here. Spencer Fearon's knowledge don't make sense. Don't make sense. Don't make sense. So I'd have to put my money on Spencer Fearon knowing a bit more. All right, guys, last 10 minutes. Let's get as many questions in if we can. Yeah, last 10 minutes. Graham Lamont says, Ade, who's the top matchroom prospects that we should look out for in 2023? I like Bostain. Yeah, JD Bostain's good. Chef Clark. And interesting that Rhiannon Dixon has also been signed. For me, I like Gary Cully. Is he still a prospect? Not quite sure, but I like Gary Cully. Is Dalton Smith still a prospect? I mean, these people prospects? I'm not quite sure, but JD Boston's good. He's one that's got character. You know what I like about him? At the last event in Leeds as well. I'm a sucker for this sell yourself. And he had his own cameraman with him, his own cameraman. So it wasn't something Matchroom told him to do, or he had his own cameraman and he's putting out content, behind the scenes content, immediately after the fight, talking to the camera. Love that. Sell yourself, man. Sell yourself. Articulate Design says, great to catch you live, bro. Fantastic job last night too. I don't care what anyone says. It was an entertaining card for me, and you smashed it as always. My man, thank you, bro. Really appreciate that. I really appreciate. I really appreciate. Gloves up, Ade. When you done the duck segment, why was you cussing fighters? Don't you think you're getting carried away? Dylan Dennis would kill you in real life. Oh God. Oh God. Proper boxing. I big up Ade. You are the Don. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat as well. Thank you very, very much. JD_5 says, Ade, in your 2021 documentary, I also remember you talking about you dealing with a lot of racism in Brighton when you were growing up. Hope you taught those suckers a lesson. I certainly didn't teach them a lesson because I was very young. But yeah, look, you know what? The world is the world. The world is the world. At the time, Brighton wasn't what it was or is now. It's funny going back to Brighton, it's completely changed. But when I was growing up in Brighton, bear in mind we're talking the 80s here, and I guess probably would have been the same in certain parts of East London. Pretty racist, pretty racist. But yeah, you just have to kind of just get on with it, man. Get on with life. Life will chuck a lot of shit at you, and depends how you take it. I grew up, and did it affect me? Yeah, a bit, but you kind of understand that people are people, and you can't change everyone. What's this one? Johnny Gaffer says, "Don't believe that narrative that cards will be insane. Do you think a show which has a budget could have so many stars on the card?" Yeah, I do. I do. And not necessarily stars, but I even look at the what card had a good budget that I know money was pumped into? Abu Dhabi, Bivol Ramirez. So it was Bivol Ramirez, and I don't know if you guys rate this card or not, but I thought it was a good card. So Bivol Ramirez, you had Chantel Cameron versus McCaskill. It was supposed to be Cordina versus Rakhimov. You have Galal, and so you had Kell fighting as well, didn't you? And Galal fighting in both of them in good fights. So look, I'm not going to say that's an amazing card, but that for me was a good card, even watching it. And even though it wasn't Cordina Rakhimov, it was Zalfabat Rakhimov, and that was a good card. That's what I'm talking about. So that might not be stacked, but that card there is a card that money's been pumped into, and that's what I want to see going forward. That I think is a good card. All right. Last 3 minutes. What's this one? Brad Mahood says, "Thanks for reading out my question, bro. One more from me. Could you see Brook coming out for one more? If so, who?" I've played with the idea about Brook coming out for one more for a while, but I don't think it will happen now. I think the one that it would have been Eubank, and he's not going to fight Eubank. So yeah, I think he's done. Although look, he's still doing what he does in the gym. I think that's more just to stay fit and keep his mind in a good place. I think he's done. David Deuce says, "Love your work. Keep it up. Come on, people, hit the likes, support the channel, please, if you can. Yeah, support the channel, please, people. It'd be much appreciated. Hit the likes, share, love, all that good stuff." 2 seconds. Where are we? What is it? What is it? Would you ever go on the Breakdown Wade's podcast? Yes, we're gonna get that done. Actually, 100%. Koyoshi Super Chat says, "Does boxing need more organized tournaments in order to get the best fight in the best and to make the fights we actually want to see?" This was what was so good about the World Boxing Super Series, and even way before that. What was it called again? The one that Froch, Ward, Kessler, Abraham, Jermaine Taylor. What was that called? Was it Super 8? I think that's what it was called. But the World Boxing Super Series gave us all we wanted. All we wanted. It was fantastic, wasn't it? We need more of those. But I think it's so difficult now with so many broadcasters. They're not going to let their talent fight on another broadcast, are they? So as much as that is what we need, I doubt that's what we're going to get. But that's exactly what we need. Exactly. I grew up with that Super 8 tournament, and I thought this is insane. And the fight, the dates of the fights, and we even had people pull out, and then you had other people come in. It was incredible. Incredible. Anthony Vander says, "Ade, have you got Baumgartner's mobile number yet?" I haven't. Stunning, ain't she? But I do not have. I mean, I'm serious. I'm serious. 2 6. What's this one? Tube Faddy says, "Wow, AJ loses to an all-time great, and now he's lost the ability to fight. Casuals are so fickle. AJ beats Joyce 9 times out of 10. I hope you're right. I wouldn't go with 9 times out of 10, though. Yeah. 2 6. 9. Nah, not 9 times out of 10. Not at all. 2 seconds. What's this one? Happier 8000 says, "Sky have Eubank versus Smith, and BT have Beterbiev versus Yarde in January. DAZN has KSI." Well, no. DAZN has Eubank versus Smith. Come on, catch up. The Zone has Eubank versus Smith as well, dude. Come on, what's wrong with you? 2-6. This is interesting. Flizzy says, is the Zone still operating in America? A lot of their US boxers have left their broadcast. No, the different, I think, and this isn't sticking up for the Zone, but I think the one that left that obviously I think would piss off the Zone is Devin Haney, right? I think he's the one that you think is going to be the needle mover. I think the rest, Demetrius Andrade and others, they're not too bothered about. Understand this though, the Zone of Canelo in America. It can't get bigger. The Zone of Canelo, they have Ryan Garcia. Do they want the bigger names? Yes. But you look at those bigger names, are they really doing big numbers? Like, I think I always thought that the Zone, when Eddie was going over there with big money, the aim was to get Broner and Charlo, etc., etc. Are they doing big numbers? I'm not quite sure. No one in America does bigger numbers than Canelo. So that's the one, right? If they can keep him, I think they're okay because whoever Canelo fights will do big numbers. And then you got young ones coming up as well. Bam Rodriguez, I think someone that's potentially could do big numbers, but I don't think anyone's doing the numbers right now. Honestly, there's only a handful of fighters that can get over that 500,000 pay-per-view sort of the 500,000 pay-per-view number. Only a handful. So if the Zone have a couple of them, then they're doing okay. I don't think it's as bad as they don't have American fighters or American fighters are leaving them. You've still got the biggest name in boxing, the biggest draw in boxing, and you still got AJ as one of the biggest draws, I think, still. So I think they're doing okay. All right, guys, girls, apologies if I've not read your question out. We tried to do a lot in an hour and 20 minutes. I think we read out a few hundred questions. I think there's that many, a bit of hyperbole there. Enjoy. We are going to get something done live this week. I'm thinking Wednesday we'll do a live about Eubank Smith, not just with me, with a couple of guests, but we are going to do more videos. I'm going to do a video right now as I leave the studio about the YouTube boxing scene, like what's the problem, and we're going to do a video about Ryan Garcia Tank and ask what the fuck is going on. Until then, though, peace and love.